A warm welcome to your 91.9 Friends FM. And Symphony is rocking the world. Calcutta was going through a lot of heat, and today it poured and poured and poured, and it's cooled down. So I told people, when it gets really hot, you don't need the range, you just need a Symphony air cooler, which can actually make a difference. But Mr. Sarda, when you were in school, I just want to rewind back a bit. When you were in school, did you ever, were you into the marketing? What was your dream? What did you want to become?
Oh, actually, I'm a computer science engineer by education, and to be honest with you, my dream was to pursue further education in this field. What you hear about large-scale computing and high-end processors, etc., right now was something that I had hoped I would be able to work in. As they say, twist of fate is something that brought me towards the marketing side, brought me to management. But I guess that's too far back in history.
But you're rocking it. I come from a business family, and by mistake I got into DJing, and by mistake I got into radio, and I've been here for 32 years. So it just happens. I just want to, you've been associated with so many companies, and of course, now there's been a wonderful journey, and if you look at Symphony, from a single cooler in 1988 to become the world's #1 air cooling brand is remarkable.
Yeah.
What has been the defining milestone in this journey? Because generally people are very happy, yaar, ek success ho gaya, chalo usse hi karte rehta hai. But it's been a defining milestone. It's gone bigger, huge, innovation, variety of products, variety of brands. Do let us know, sir.
So, as you rightly noted, Jimmy, Symphony Limited's journey in 1988 with as time progressed, the company grew. First time when air cooler brand communicating on national television. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you
right?
absolutely clearly. So
1990 was the first time, an air cooler company went live on national television with a television commercial of its own. Symphony went on to grow from strength to strength. In 1994, we got listed on BSE. A snap of time, and moving forward into multiple categories, and then refocusing its energies back into the cooler category. Symphony again was stepping into global diversification starting 2009. In 2009, we acquired IMCO. That's an acronym for International Metal Products Company, which was founded in 1939 in the Phoenix of USA. So from there on, we've grown from strength to strength. In 2010, we introduced the concept of central air cooling, or what we now call as large space venti coolings for larger spaces.
So, sir, are you trying to say now air coolers can accommodate larger spaces? Generally, the concept was air cooler hoga to chota room mein chal jayega, but bada jagah mein nahi chalega.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. At that point in time, one of the largest commercial air cooling projects was done using our products. That was the Patanjali Yoga Bhavan at Haridwar. And since then, we have looked back this particular business to the largest of needs, from manufacturing to commercial to warehousing to hospitals and hospitality across a lot of segments.
Wow,
so that's been one cornerstone for our growth.
So this is a truly amazing journey with so much happening. Now, if you see, Symphony products are known for solving real consumer problems, from noise reduction to kitchen heat to cooling efficiency. How does consumer insight shape innovation at the company? Because y'all don't just create products. You'll look at the consumer wants and the consumer problems and then create the product. So how does consumer insight help you all to actually create a product which is, wow, this is my product, this is my baby, they say it. What's the back end story for that?
So, the concept of innovation is very much at the heart of how Symphony came across to be founded. Our founder, Mr. Bakeri, had moved into a new home, and as is the case at that point in time, there were a lot of spaces in that large home which did not sport an air conditioner, tall ceilings, spaces with long passages, and their architect had recommended you going for a air cooler. Now, at that point in time, the only air coolers that were around were the large metal boxes that we all know very familiar
Yes.
with. And obviously, it was an eyesore. And therein was the germ of the idea for founding Symphony for Mr. Terry at that point in time. And since then, I think innovation has been pretty much one of the pillars on which the organization has grown. Be it introducing plastic-based coolers in 1988, which looked like air conditioners, or
Yes.
be it introducing technological innovations like a submersible pump
Wow.
to improve cooling efficiency and longevity, to talking about screen controls in 2013 or voice assistant way back then, introducing newer formats. So, some of the things that we've done over the space of time. In 2022, we came across, we heard a lot of consumers talk about heat in various spaces of home. And one of the most noticed and often ignored space is the kitchen. And we realized
Yes.
that, hey, in Indian kitchens, fire is on all through the year. We cook and we have a very particular type of cooking. So the conventional cooling devices like a fan or an air conditioner do not work when the lady of the house is cooking. And therein, came another thought which we introduced in the product in the form of a kitchen cooling fan.
Oh, wow.
Very unique, does not, disturb with the cooking. We use a lot of spices, and it's pretty dangerous if some of
Absolutely.
the spices kind of fly around in the kitchen. So we had to customize the product with a gentle breeze, which would keep the person who's cooking cool,
Oh,
but
wow.
not to cool the flame. So we were the first brands in 2023 to introduce a BLDC cooler.
Wow.
Moving forward, about in 2025, we came across, we introduced India's most silent cooler. Now we realized that several types of homes need cooling as a mandate. With the kind of temperatures that are there, air conditioners just cannot cope up with it.
Absolutely.
What you need is that signature symphony kind of a cooling, as we call it, the engine cooling of a symphony cooler.
When you say the word symphony, it reminds me of music. It's actually, music makes you happy, and music gets your mood up, and music makes you think twice, and music makes you feel relaxed. I think somewhere or another the symphony word and the products really match well, because each and every product of yours, when you all introduced your air coolers, they were like standing ACs, the plastic standing ACs. When I first saw an air cooler, I honestly thought it was an AC. It was a standing AC, and it was so effective, which is hard to believe. Generally people thought, oh, pankha chal raha hai. No, but with innovation, it actually left a very cool feeling, and a relaxed feeling. And that's wonderful, because the way you all have been innovating, and the first time I'm hearing something like, air cooler in the kitchen, especially for the dynamics of a kitchen where heat is there, food is there, spices are there. You know what? I'm going to tell my wife to buy one, and I'm going to try this one out seriously. You say innovation at Symphony is a culture, not just a department. How do you build and sustain that culture across the organization? Because you're continuously innovating, continuously inventing. How do you sustain and build it up across?
So you're right in having to say that it's pretty much in our culture across the 3 decades that Symphony has been the market leader in India and globally. We have done that on the sheer pace of innovation. We've set trends. We've brought in newer formats. For example, a lot of urban homes today have very small sizes. Now, a conventional size cooler just doesn't cut it, and you needed a small footprint cooler. Along came a product called as Diet, which introduced an entirely new type of a cooler called the Tower Air Cooler. Now, that is something that's true innovation, listening to the consumers, trying to hear what they're not really saying. So essentially, Jimmy, over the years, what we've really built our strength on is keeping our eyes and ears open, keeping our ears firmly on the ground, listening to our trade partners, listening to consumers, our internal teams who provide variety of feedback from, and obviously keeping an internet. So let me quote another small example. Air conditioners are norm in most upmarket homes. And unfortunately, most of the architects or the interior designers seem to not like a lot of fans along with that. It interferes with their overall decor theme and philosophy. So ducted ACs are the norm. But ducted ACs take a lot of time to cool a certain amount of space. So we identified that niche and we introduced what is today called as surround tower fans, which are essentially air recirculators which help improve cooling across a space in a very good manner. And their engineering was such that they would suck in the cold air from the bottom. We all know basic physics. Hot air is at the top and cold air is at the bottom. And when you turn on the fan along with the AC as you're trying to cool, what you're essentially doing is pushing down the hot air onto yourself, right? So we engineered the product in that particular manner that it would pull in the cool air from the bottom and improve the overall cooling efficiency of any other cooling device that you put along. So, essence of this is that we have a very strong ear to the ground. We try and identify these kind of niches which help address very direct consumer pain points. And internally, we have a very strong collaborative approach to develop, commercialize, and see innovative years. What has kept us ahead.
Wow, this is truly amazing. And I have a message coming. Symphony is near to our heart always. And someone sent a message, with ACs blasting nowadays, I'd rather go for an air cooler. That seems much more safer, much more sensible, and less electricity. I mean, you're getting answers and thoughts coming from within the audience across. We're having audience from across the country. We're having audience in Calcutta. And I'm so happy they're just, kind of putting their thoughts forward. Now, Symphony is present in across 60 countries. How do you balance global expansion while keeping the brand relevant to the local customers and consumers in India? Because global has another thought process. Areas across the world have different climatic fields. India is very, very hot comparison to other places in the world. So how do you balance that global expansion along with keeping local consumers also happy as well as global consumers happy?
I think you're absolutely right that it needs a local flavor everywhere you go into, every kind of a country that is there. So what's cool for India might not be cool for, say, Mexico. And therefore, there is always a cross-pollination of ideas. There's always insight that we keep deriving from multiple markets and bring it back across other markets. So at the very core of the brand philosophy, Symphony has pushed cross-pollination of its brands globally. So, for example, the brand Symphony itself went from India to so many more countries. The brand of a large-scale coolers called as Movie Cool moved from India globally. It's one of the largest selling ranges in the Middle East. A brand called Master Cool was brought into India. One of our brands called Bonaire was brought in from all the way from the US to the Middle East. So we've tried to maintain the local nuances and the flavors as we've brought in each of these brands. They're of course centered around the kind of products which the market needs. And in order to commercialize and communicate, you obviously have to keep in mind the kind of local nuances that are there.
Absolutely.
So for example, you'd recall long back TV shopping shows were all the rage in India.
Yes.
They continue to be so in Mexico, and we've tagged on to that particular part very well in that market. Middle East is known for its modern retail experiences that are there. So how do you create a modern retail ambiance which helps the consumers experience the effective cooling that is there. And we always went in for a very strong local flavor. So we have TV commercials in Australia. We bring in a very different kind of a cultural nuance that is there. So one has to obviously, be global in approach, but think locally and execute with a very strong local nuance.
This is one of the very few companies in country, the make in India concept as well as the export to international market. You'll have balanced it so well. Because international market is tough competition and people are, they are particular for points, single points, and you'll have scored there also. And the best part of the show is that the same technology, same advanced innovation you're giving to the world as well as you're giving to India. And y'all are ruling in that category. You'll have products like Silenzo, Spa Geyser, KCF, Air Force have created new categories in cooling solutions. Which innovation has been the most personally satisfying for you and why? Because there's so much out there.
So I think, Jimmy, you're right in saying this. Symphony, at the very root or at the very heart, is known for its cooling products, and therefore, in having to bring alive the hair fall control geysers, that's the spa geyser that you talked about, has been personally a very, very satisfying and an enriching experience. I mean, having to identify with the needs of the consumer, that it's a cluttered category, right? I mean, a geyser is a geyser. There's virtually no differentiation in most of the products available. And to map it with the changing dynamic of how we live. We are living in vertically growing cities, increasingly more and more dependent on underground water, which by the very nature is saline, carries a wide variety of salts dissolved into it. And that is leading to a large number of skin problems, and hair fall being one of the more very strongly visible impact. Now, to address that kind of a solution in a category which is virtually there in every home is a very large task, and I'm very happy that our research and technology team came in to develop the kind of solution that would really meet the demands of this kind of a space, and offer a very truly differentiated product which carries or is able to carry the badge of Symphony, its beautiful aesthetics and easy to use consumer features into the same. Communicating it was a real task, and thankfully we kind of leveraged a lot of influencers to bring that entire part live. Last season we had Tamana Bhatia become one of the associated with the brand to bring it alive on the social space as well. So as an innovation, I think going against the grain of what Symphony is known for, and developing a category which adds to the overall brand aura of how Symphony relates to its consumer is a very satisfying.
This is Spa Geyser, something unbelievable, because whether it be anywhere you go, the iron and content and the saline and the parts andar se hi kha jate, and then it affects your skin and body and you actually feel it. You feel that. This is unbelievable. I think, according to me, this is the unique of its kind in the world, where you have a spa geyser with a kind of feel that will not really harm your skin, because people put those filtrations in their water pipes, to ensure कि वो filter हो जाए. But you've done something magical. This is another thing which the country would love. Not just India, but I think internationally. It'll bring actually a wow factor to showering, or basically, especially for showering. When you have the geysers come in, or when you even wash your hands, or you gargle. It kind of helps and improves health. That spa geyser should be you should have a small little tagline underneath: we truly care for your health, or your skin or your hair, because I think that is an amazing concept which I'm impressed. Again, I'm going to tell my wife to purchase one of these. Talking with you, I've just realized the kind of products you'll have is not just normal. I'm not saying it's abnormal, but it's normal with a lot of innovation and thought, where you're looking at the consumers, which is truly awesome. And talking about innovation, marketing innovation at Symphony has evolved from a dial a cooler campaign to AI personalized dealer videos. How is technology changing the future of brand communication? Because today, at a click of a button, you get information. Today, at a click of a button, you can actually get insights into consumers. Today, at a click of a button, you can create a video. Today, at a click of a button, you can do anything. So, how is it, affecting or technology changing the brand communication from a brand master? I would like to know.
I think I'm glad you brought up this dial cooler concept which we ran during the COVID time. The summer was inordinately hot that year as well, and unfortunately, we didn't really have a lot of opportunity to move around and do the shopping the way we knew or live our lives as we'd always known. The word unprecedented was thrown around so much that it became a part of common parlance very, very easily. I think that point in time was one big step that, as a market leader and as somebody who really keeps the well wishes of its customers and at heart, is where this campaign was started. Even before that campaign, Jimmy, I think in 2018 we had, even before these AI generated visuals and animations became the norm, we had a full feature TVC, sporting a nice little son who was out for out for a stroll in the Indian summer and getting people hot and how it got cool. So we've before AI generated videos was the norm, we've kept that particular part already. Today, as you know, influencers are a big part of how brands reach out to its consumers. It's a two-way
Absolutely.
communication. And Symphony's been no different. We've done a wide variety of associations. I talked about associating with Tamanna Bhatia for our spa range of hair fall control tweezers. We did a similar feature with Baba Sehgal. You would relate to him because
Baba Ice Baby ka version. Cool,
right.
thanda.
Right.
In fact, we used to do shows together way back. And the guy's truly amazing. You got the right guy, fun, jovial, and he's all about cool. You got the right guy in. So I just want to ask you.
That's, right. So today, and a lot of our content, especially the video content, is something that we have been talking about with VMAI. So I think there seems to be a fair bit of a lag, unfortunately.
No, it's okay. But at least I can hear you. And I've got a killer idea which I'm going to discuss with you sometime. Where not just AI, but people can touch, feel, and experience your product on the move across the city. Literally, and Calcutta is hot right now. So imagine if you give them something they walk into on the move, which is cool and relaxed, where they feel that comfort for 5 minutes from a 40 degrees outside to a 22 degrees inside. You can imagine that experience. People will fall in love once again with the product or with the ambience or with the atmosphere or with the cooling thing. And the city would need it. So, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, and you've been saying so much. Now people are watching you and listening to you across all our digital pages in Calcutta, in India, and across the world. And also the audio is going live on radio across the city of joy. So a message to all our listeners tuned into radio as well as on our digital pages. What would you like to tell the listeners across the world, across India and in Kolkata?
I think my message is pretty simple. We've talked a lot about Symphony, its need for innovation, and how we've grown from strength to strength in that we take a lot of heart and inspiration from our own country in having to take these kind of innovations and raise it to the global standard, bring it to the global markets. In marketing specifically, a keen attention to customer habits and pain points is pretty important. And as an organization, I'm glad we've been able to, keep that entire part right at our core. Finally, I think what everybody loves Symphony about is for its authenticity. It's simple, rim wali cooling that really brings a smile to the face. That's what I leave everybody with. I know the City of Joy has experienced a good bit of rains, So it's sort of a global cooler really bringing in the relief from the scorching heat for you all.
Absolutely, and rim jim wali cooling. It reminds me of, when you say rim jim barsa, it looks like, the feel of the symphony cooler will be like as if it's cool and it's raining all across and you're feeling that coolness, which is amazing. I love the thought where people will associate with the communication or the vocabulary used instantly. We must have more sessions like this because your products are amazing, like the spa geyser, the cooler, the large room coolers. You can actually bring about a change to many households across once they get into the innovative product in totality. Understand what's it is. Not just a geyser, it's more than a geyser. It's not just a cooler, it's more than a cooler. It's not just X, it's XYZ. And that is truly amazing, because today I'm so happy I spoke to you, because I learned so much about Symphony, I learned so much about the innovation, I learned so much about the amazing products you'll have, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard it and they are going to be tickled, saying, boss, why didn't I go and check this out? And I'm sure it's available everywhere, so people in the city of joy can go see, pick it out, choose it, see the benefits, especially the spa geyser, which is amazing. But thank you, Gaurav, for joining us. It's been such a pleasure talking, and today, trust me, I mean, the kind of innovation you'll have done, I'm hearing it for the first time, for any company in the country, and it's so proud that you're across 60 plus countries. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, wish you all the success. Wish Symphony all the beautiful music around, as you say, music to the ears. So people are going to love you for what you are. People are going to love your products. And whenever we can, when you're coming up with new products, we must exchange thoughts live so that the world, the country, and the people of Kolkata will know. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you for having me over, Jimmy. And on behalf of all the symphonites in India and across the world, it's a pleasure bringing these kind of innovation to our consumers.
It's wonderful, and we look forward for more innovations. Thank you. Do take care, and good night. Thank you so much.